What's up, party people? Jude Snowboarder here from Facebook. That's the profile name. Jude's Junk is the Facebook page and shop for comic books. And I also have a YouTube channel with frequently asked questions. And someone came to me and asked me today, how do you price unicorn books? I always tell people we're not buying and selling commodities, man. For the most part, we're buying and selling art. And sure, there's some very common books and in some ways, it gets down to a commodity, and you have plenty of sales history, so it's really easy to sell. But if you got a true unicorn, uh, now is this because you aren't willing to pay for the tools like GPA to figure out what that book is really worth? Because what a lot of people think is a unicorn is just something with a signature on it, and they don't know how to price it. Well, GPA has all the history for sales of 18 different sites, whereas Go collects like 4 sites and cover prices. Who knows what they use? Less than that, I think. Maybe just eBay. But GPA tracks 18 different sites for sales, and they'll capture a history of all the books in their signature series, and they're qualified, and they're restored, and their blue CGC label. So you get a great tool from a GPA. Also, it shows you where all the books are available for sale. If you're looking for that 9.8 hot book, not only do they pull values from all 18 sites, but they will tell you which of those 18 sites are selling that book, which is a great tool if you're trying to get a jump on a spec. But going back to how I price unicorns, if you have all the right tools and you pay for the right tools, and I'm talking GPA, a raw price guide is great. Knowing how to look at eBay past sales and future sales is important. There's a difference. The demand last week might be different than the demand next week. So past sales on eBay are one tool. Future sales on eBay are a second tool. And if you know how to use eBay, you know how to use GPA. I have a background in quantitative statistical analysis. So when you're dealing with numbers like this, statistics, probability is a very useful, helpful tool. For example, you got a unique book that's signed. You can look at what a similar book is at a 9.8 and what a signed one is. And at a 9.8, maybe Todd McFarlane gets like a $300 bump because it's a Todd McFarlane book, and a 9.8. And then let's say back on 9.4s, 9.6s, Todd McFarlane gives you a $200 bump. I've heard Stan Lee gives you on average, if it's a raw book, it's a $200 bump. If it's a graded book, it might be a $300 bump. And if it's a 9.8 hot book, then it just depends on the how hot it is. Stan Lee signed Amazing Fantasy 15 is going to be different than a Stan Lee signed Spider-Man 1 in terms of what his signature is worth on that book. But you do the best you can with some. I look at past sales. I have a video on how I price. So past sales on eBay, GPA, and I look at what's available. If I have a book and it's sold, 10 copies have sold for $100 in the last 5 years, but there's 0 available out there. What does that mean? Does that mean nobody wants to sell it? And you look everywhere. It's not on any of the sites. No one's selling it. Well, if I'm the only one on the whole internet that's selling a book, I can pretty much set the price anywhere I want. And what happens is if I get a high dollar amount, then all of a sudden you see people flooding and putting their book up for sale. But it really comes down to what am I comfortable giving up? If you have a rare Shelby GT Mustang, what are you comfortable giving it up for? What are you going to say? Yeah, that's a good deal. I'd rather have, that price than this comic book. There's a lot of comic books I have that are totally unique. I see value in them. A lot of people don't, and they think it's stupid, but I'm not willing to sell that book for less than $1,500. I think it's rare enough and unique enough that it's got plenty of room for growth. And so I'm not going to take less than $1,500. Now, if someone offered me $1,300 or $1,400, who knows? Maybe. I got a rare King Spawn #1 9.8 signed by McFarlane. Is it King Spawn? But it's an error book. How do you put a value on an error book? So I came up with a price that I'm comfortable letting that book go for. and it was almost twice what the 9/8 are selling for now. Um, I know there's only like five in the world. Doing some research, so I did my research. There's only like five in the world, so I put a price on. Hey, I'll be happy to get this amount, and then I keep coming down in my mind. Do I want to take that much less? Not now, but in 3 months I might. In 6 months I might. But this is what I'm comfortable with taking today. So I'll start high, and then maybe every month or every 3 months I might lower it a little bit more until I find where the market hits. So overpricing books happens, underpricing books happens. So we've learned to overprice it and then reduce the price every 3 weeks or 3 months. It all depends on how fast you're in a hurry and how much you need the cash. We could have the same exact book and you're willing to take 300 for it, and I'm not willing to take less than 1,500 for it. So it depends on how bad you want the book versus the cash, right? So you get to set your own price with any unicorn. I have a Swamp Thing number 2598 newsstand, very first John Constantine. And I know there's some debate about whether it's first John Constantine or not, but I looked online and the lowest one out there was for 2,200. So I put it up for sale for 2,000. Now everyone laughs at that, but I have yet to see another newsstand issue 2598 for sale for less than 2,000. So until I start seeing them flooding the market, I'm going to leave it there because I think it's a very unique book. And if I'm not interested in getting the cash right away, then I'm happy to hold on to it. Now, if I hold on to a book and I make a mistake, that's my mistake. I got to, eat it. But in sales, you can't really worry about reputation in terms of whether someone likes your prices or not. Go across the street and buy if you can. And if I'm the only one that got it, then you got to pay my price or negotiate with me. And being a jerk's not really a great way to start negotiating price. So that's not a good sales tactic. Anyways, happy hunting, guys.